time to call the monthly Public Works Committee meeting to order. Roll call, let's see, we have any youth and governance here. I see Supervisor Decker is in absentia, 2, 4, 6 of us, so that is the absences I am noting at the moment.
I don't think Supervisor Houston.
Oh, that's right, correct. So, is our other person?
Franco, John Franco, right?
They may show up. I've not heard from them specifically. I don't know if anyone else has heard from them.
I have, they both sent an email saying they would be missing.
So
tonight.
most likely listing that as excused. Roll call is complete. Citizens' comments. Any citizens would like to address the proceeding here? You have 5 minutes to do so. Once, twice. This is sound forward. Approval of minutes from previous meeting. You have a chance to review the previous meetings.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes from previous meeting, second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You can govern us, how do you think?
Good question.
There's some.
Always
That's
ask
right.
what you're voting on, so
Right.
we're voting on approval of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Okay.
So it's not. Just for the record, mention your name to Wendy here, so she'll have your.
I got him.
That means you got it.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye, we pass that, great. Chairman comments, supervisor comments, youth and government comments. I have none at the moment. Any supervisors like to make a comment? Youth and governments like to make a comment? One.
Anything?
Go make a comment. Then we move on to item number 6, vision reports, updates, requested actions, resolution, shared and road configuration. I would ask for a motion and a second, and then we'll open up for discussion. So let's hear a motion and a second.
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by Zalsky, second by
Second.
Supervisor Meadows. All those in favor say aye. In terms of
Question.
opening up for discussion.
Okay.
I would like to, at this point, turn it over to Supervisor Geertsen for any particular comment, observations, being there is in his district, and he has firsthand knowledge of the situation. So, Supervisor Geertsen, any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just give a brief timeline in the report. So the county board adopted a resolution in 2023 supporting keeping the profile of Sheridan Road 4 lanes. That was based on discussions we had with the village and all of the other partners. The Department of Transportation, when they were doing the planning for this project, looked at several options, but ended up recommending an option that turns it in from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. I've been in several meetings. I know the administration's been in a lot more meetings than us. And we know that the county adopted a resolution supporting the village that we want to keep it 4 lanes. And the village, I think the county itself would like to keep it 4 lanes. Now, the village says that it'll affect public safety. It'll be harder for access and egress. The village also said that it would affect the public works. It would be harder for them to get in and out of the roads to maintain, plow the roads and do the other maintenance. The big picture is that it's the furthest east main thoroughfare. There's a lot of traffic there. I've been living there for 40 years. When I drive on that road every day, and when you see one of the lanes blocked, it backs it up, and it's hard to imagine what would happen if that it was that way all the time. It would be all 2 lanes all the time. So now the other thing the state talked about is if they were to convert this from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, they would consider moving further south, and then the city might be 4 lanes to 2 lanes. Now, the reason the city or the county did this, or the state did this, is if they talked about public safety, they said the traffic was moving too fast. There was one year where there were 3 or 4 deaths, I think, So one of the things we did was temporarily change the speed limit from 45 to 35 now. I'm out in the district all the time. And that area, I just knocked on a lot of doors for my election. And everyone's pretty happy that the speed limit was changed from 45 to 35 that live in that neighborhood. I pretty much canvassed south to north, that whole area. So that they're happy with it. The people that live there are happy with it. We spent tens of millions of dollars on new lane miles and KR that is now 195 on the freeway, on Highway 50 and other roadways. And there's lots of development going on in Kenosha and Racine, so the traffic will only increase. So it's hard to imagine why they would want to cut down lane miles after spending tens of millions to increase lane miles in the county. And we have traffic studies. I drive by and I've seen DOT a couple times out. I see the county more. And the studies show that when we went from 45 to 35, the speed did decline, but it may not be enough for the state to change its what it's going to do. So we're proposing now a second resolution in collaboration with the city and with the village, and the bill, they're all going to sign on to it, right?
I understand this correct.
And this is ahead of a meeting that we have with DOT on April 10th. So it'd be nice for us to have this. This would be up for approval on April 8th on the county board. I don't know if all the other governments will get it done by then, but at least the county will have it done. And in talking to the administration, we have a little time on this. So it's nice to have the resolution done and let the DOT know what we would like. But it's not imminent that they're going to come in and impose going from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, probably not until later this year, right, Greg? Because we talked.
Yeah, I haven't heard the exact time frame when they're gonna make the ultimate decision. I believe they said they're gonna continue with the speed study.
Yeah. So, again, they said it was because of safety. There was that year where we had 3 or 4 deaths. We didn't have a death the year before or a couple years after. And the deaths were, I think, all impaired. I think they were all 4 deaths were impaired, I think. So, and me being someone that lives like 5 minutes away and has probably driven more miles on that road than anyone on earth is, right? And it would really, I think, be good to keep it 4 lanes. So, and I want to say thanks to Bill because you both sponsored with me the first resolution that we adopted a couple of years ago. Even though it's not your district, but it's right adjacent to your district. And then you really helped on this one and pretty much helped get the thing written up. So again, thank you for supporting the Village of Summers. And with that, I'll yield the floor.
Supervisor Bellski.
Line 47, where it says number severity of vehicle crashes on Highway 32. The judiciary law is now getting really great reports. You may want to get what they were before and prior, the number of accidents. Also on Saturday, because I don't live that far away, Carthage had some huge event. And they have multiple events throughout the year. It would maybe be good to contact them as well, because you can get on or off that road. They had buses parked across the street from La Pagada. They had all of their parking down below and up top filled. So that going down to 2 lanes would not be a good thing. But I think really 40, 70, 48 should be highlighted with numbers.
Further comments or questions? Let's go through this sequentially. If you do have an amendment or two, and if you take a look at the resolution that's in front of you, it has numbered lines. And the last, be it further resolved, 73 through 75. It was neglected to include the Village of Summers. Village of Summers, to a certain extent, is driving the bus on this because this roadway is in the Village of Summers. So at the request of the village president, I would move that as a friendly amendment for line 74, it says state legislative delegation, comma, and after that should be included Village of Summers.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on that particular question. All those in favor of that addition?
I,
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? No, fine. Also, if you look on your line 58 and line 60, there's a space right there where new information has come to light. And I have a copy in front of each one of you that has to do with the city and their accepting of funds for additional bike lanes, bike right of way, that type of thing. So the long and short of it, if you care to read it, is a whereas, of course, this is in front of you, should be going with it. Whereas the city of Kenosha has been awarded $5.5 million raised grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation to further develop and expand upon the existing bicycle/pedestrian trail network, thus displaying continuing commitment to multimodal transportation. And that would be a new insertion into where 59 goes.
motion to approve.
So we've got a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Second. Discussion on this particular inclusion into it. Supervisor Eric?
Yeah, the question that I have, not knowing anything about this grant or anything, but often when you include pedestrian or bicycle lanes next to a highway, that encroaches on the amount of space we have to keep it afloat. Is there a danger that accepting this will make it harder to keep it afloat?
I suppose in theory it could, but in this particular article, what they're talking about doing is actually connecting the city and the county together. And then for Washington Road, having a right of way so they can actually go across Washington Road. And then for one of the bridges, 52nd Street, they will have a right of way, and they're actually done in a bridge fashion. So if you're talking about a separate bridge, it would not approach upon the lanes of traffic, could be a dedicated right of way crossing.
There's already waiting there too. I mean, there's already a bike path there.
Correct.
It would just be improved.
Well, it would be actually completely done. We'd have a trestle over the existing road thing. So it would not be approaching upon it. That's a good question.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't go against what the goal is of keeping it for money, that's not a big deal.
Right, so that's a good point to bring down. Further discussions on this particular, Supervisor Gray.
Just for clarity, so the city of Kenosha has the grant. Who's funding the Sheridan Road, Green Bay Road work that we're talking about?
Sheridan Road,
Sheridan Road, yes.
that would be a State Department of Transportation project.
And so the $5.5 million isn't necessarily going to this. There's a big pot of money that some of it may go to this, right? Is that
Well,
up to the discretion?
the article, for whatever reliability we get from the commission, this is a federally funded project from the United States DOT. And it's got some acronym with it I'm not familiar with. RAISE, it's a raised grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. So it's, again, DOT, but not state DOT like we have a shared road. This is federal DOT specifically for this grant.
Grammatical, may not matter. There's no dollar sign or mention of dollars.
So we should have that.
$5.5 million.
Yeah,
something.
$5 so include that in the status. For that to when you And then the final thing, well, let's vote upon this first of all. We discussed this, is there further discussion on this particular thing? President Gersten. A vote then on the inclusion of this one paragraph that talks about the city of Kenosha being awarded $5.5 million raise grant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Youth Governance? Aye. Then the last thing Supervisor Belsky wisely brought out, line 47 and 48, talks about the reduction in accidents. And I had mentioned this to our captain, Sheriff's Department, Captain Stephen Ramos, and asked him for data. So he actually sent me the email, a nice colored chart that said before the speed reduction and after the speed reduction, and the number of crashes and fatalities dramatically low. So I will forward that along to Wendy, have it included in the package. So when it comes to the county board, all the information will be, it'll be more complete. That's good. I think that includes what we have do with that. So unless there's further discussion, we would now take a vote on the proposition as amended resolution. This time we can have our Youth and Governance go first. Aye. Committee members, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Passed unanimously. Thank you for your attention.
That's once the project goes forward, because
Next item of business
We're gonna amend it.
would be golf division reports. Mr. Jim Walton.
Thank you, Chair Grady. Updates, obviously the weather, hopefully, we hope it's finally turned the corner. We still plan to open, the golf course tomorrow, all 18 at Pine Spring. The white pine, or white birch and red pine courses. The blue spruce course will open on Friday, April 3rd. We're gonna do a little project out there to, and like the extra weeks to get that project completed out there.
For which course for the extra week?
The blue spruce.
Okay.
Yes, blue spruce. Staffing is going really well. We're sort of slowly onboarding our seasonals. It's funny, we'll have a week where we really don't need anybody, and then we've got next week, we might need everybody. So we're just slowly trickling them in. We do expect to be 100% staffed for the 2026. So we have a good pool of candidates. So that's a great thing. I did, so on this gutter damage, this is like the fourth time that gutter on this would be the east side, the entrance to the Brightondale Clubhouse up those ramps. I've been with the county since 2022. I believe that gutter's been smashed 4 times by, whether it's a FedEx truck, a UPS. When you come up that ramp, if your vehicle's too high, you're gonna hit that gutter. So I'm not gonna fix it this time until we put a removable bollard in. To stop vehicles from going up there. We want a bollard that's going to allow golf carts to go past it, so our customers can pull up to the front door, but not allow vehicles in there. And we'll be able to, we're going to put a collar in the ground so we can remove it, plow the snow in the winter, and put it right back. So the company, Holiday Wholesale was the company. We sent them, I filled out an incident report internally, sent them some photos. They agreed to pay for it. They reached out last week, asking me to make the check out too. So the check should be in the mail for that. Once we get that, Chris and I will take that in and then hold it aside for when we prepare. So that should be all worked out. A little bit of damage on the golf courses from the high winds prior to the flooding rain and then the blizzard. So it's finally starting to dry out. We really did want to open for Saturday, but it was just too wet and a lot of little light debris everywhere. We didn't want to give people a bad experience. So we have had a chance between over the weekend and today to get the main plane corridors cleaned up, and we feel a little better about the product. We're starting
I
to.
hope you do that, because March will go well.
Would be one. That would be absolutely. Well pump and VFD drive at Brightondale is complete. Spoke with Rash Construction this morning. All the permits have finally come back to them, so we actually have a meeting out there at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And they want to get started with footings here in the next 7 days, so hopefully the weather holds out and we can get that process rolling.
Detail us where that's gonna be specifically at right now, what section?
So as you stand at the entrance to the maintenance shop, you're facing north. It's going to be immediately to the west in that area. There used to be a home there. I know you probably know where I'm talking about, Doc, but it's a big open area immediately to the west of the current maintenance building. It's simply going to be a cold storage building.
So are there a bunch of stumps and so forth and debris over there?
Over the years, we sort of knew that's where we wanted to build, so like during the winter, we could go out there and sort of clean it up. There's some grading, light grading that needs to be done, but all the trees have been built here. At no cost.
So you're thinking they're gonna break ground when?
I'm hoping by the end of the week, we start to put footings in. All the permits are finally good, so I believe they said all their materials will be in on April 7th. So they wanted to have footings in by then. So that's the goal.
Anything else on your report?
No, sir, everything else is accurate.
Questions for Dalton? Yeah, I was out there just yesterday taking a look and, it'll be nice to have that driving range functional up to speed for the entire season. And I think the automated ball thing is a great idea as well. You don't have the staff walk down with it. That type of transaction and so forth.
Yeah, the mats actually went out today, so we're hoping that as long as it's dry enough that we can pick it. The machine won't be up and running right away. Still have to get our electrician out to bore that in, obviously, for winter, slow that process down, but, hopefully they come out for it here in the next couple of weeks. And, get that machine up, working. It's finance is helping us work out. It's a credit card machine, so we've got to get all that, those details worked out. But we're hoping by May, we've got that.
So the credit card exclusively or cash?
Credit card exclusively. Somebody brought that to my attention this morning, and that's something I need to look into. If somebody does have cash, what we want to be able to do is they can come in, buy a gift card and go out there. I don't believe the machine will accept cash, which is good. There's no cash in the machine. That could be a security issue. So, what I'm gonna find out is if we can sell them a gift card and then they can go on that.
So it's not the old token thing that goes in.
Correct. No, this is a credit card machine that'll correspond via Wi-Fi, and it's essentially its own business.
Good. I mean, that should be a good thing.
Yeah, we're confident it'll help increase revenue down the range for sure. And ease of use.
And it's one of those things golfers want to have that little bit of practice where they go out and play. It's just, they can loosen it up as much as you're on the putting green. Driving range is a big deal for your nicer courses. It's a good mental. Thank you for shepherding me to that. Questions for Mr. Wallace before we move on? Thank you for the report. We'll talk to you next month.
Thank you.
Let's go to Mr. Nance, Torino facility.
Supervisor. Everything's as written, a few minor updates. Construction is going smoothly at KCDC at the lobby. We are still working through the submittal process on the door hardware for the jail doors in the next phase of that project. So we haven't quite ordered those doors. They're going to be a 12 to 14 week build time. So maybe pushing the start of that portion of the project out a bit, but I think we'll be okay overall schedule wise. The building access hardware replacement project, that went great. The guys jumped on it right away and we're able to knock all the hardware stuff out. We just kind of have some of the smart stuff left, some of the programming left over, but we'll be hitting the punch list and closing on that one ahead of schedule. And then finally, staffing, we're looking great. We're going to have seasonal interviews next week. But other than that, everything else is up to date. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Questions for Mr. Storino? What's the length of time for KCDC when you think they'll be finished off? At least with the lot.
The lobby should be done by May. We're looking at May. May probably close out by the end of May, and then moving into the doors and jail work to that early summer.
For the jail work, it's going to be 2 additional isolation cells, is that the deal?
That's correct. Yep.
And it's being converted from standard to isolation centers.
Currently, we're taking 2 segregation cells in a block and getting them into isolation cells. So removing all the plumbing, the hardware, adding padded walls, flushable drains, and removing the sliding doors and adding just a closure door.
That's our same content.
Correct. Yeah.
Further questions from Mr. Serino? Seeing none, thank you very much for your report.
You're welcome.
Next up would be Mr. Wyatt Moore, Parks.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. I have 2 resolutions here for you. So first one up on the agenda is a resolution for Parks to submit an application to the Bird City Foundation. So currently, I know the language, excuse me, geez. The language is a little weird there because we're a county, but we've been a Bird City for several years now. And every couple of years, we submit a new application to retain our Bird City status. And we are considered a bird-friendly community by having that. We have a nice sign to prove it. The application itself does require a resolution. And with the resolution, we are identifying 2 days this year and then also for next year for International Migratory Bird Day. And that is the resolution.
Move to approve. Move to approve Bird City by Supervisor Meadows. Second by Supervisor Gray. Discussion on Bird City.
Is there any benefits that we get other than just putting up the sign?
Well, we put up the sign, but we also have, we do partner with Pringle Nature Center on offering more bird programming. That is something that they require that we do, but it is a benefit to the community. We do see some pretty good attendance with those. Not to mention it does help as well as we pursue grants that were considered bird friendly in the area. You're welcome.
Okay, you can go and go first on this. Aye. All those in favor of Bird City resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Seeing none, pass unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be back with that one in 2 more years. The next one I have is another application request, but this is for the recreational trails program through the Wisconsin DNR. This is to submit a grant to design the Midwest Interstate Trail, which is a project I presented here before. More so in the Randall Twin Lakes area, 4 miles of new trail, off-road trail we're looking to design. We recently had a feasibility study completed, and that proves that this trail is feasible. So we'd like to move forward with getting the entire trail designed, and then construction can move forward in 3 different phases. So this is a grant for $100,000. This particular grant program requires an 80-20 split, so there is a match on Kenosha County side, but that is included in the CIP for this year.
And this is just for the application, is that correct?
Correct. Just to submit the application.
Motion on this one?
Move.
Supervisor Gray moves, Supervisor Meadows seconds. Discussion on this particular motion, we have application made for MIT design. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, passes, gentlemen. Aye. Third one, thank you. Next item.
All right, thank you very much. So I have my division report for you. There's been a couple of updates since this was written, so I'll go through just the updates for you right now. We had a lot of interest in the Kemper Center Chapel repairs. We had a number of contractors attend the pre-bid conference and then request to meet me and our superintendent Garrett Beater at the site to walk through to get more accurate unit pricing. So at least 3 well-known contractors in the area are interested. So bids are due on Wednesday. We should have a contract awarded by this Friday. That's the goal. Moving on to the Kemper Shoreline, we're continuing to work through that project as well. Working through the DNR, it's looking like this project might be able to be recognized as a maintenance project, not so much a restoration project, which would change how the permitting needs to go, which would be definitely in the county's favor. That would not require us to do any excavation, which was a huge part of that initial cost estimate. So we don't have any updated numbers at the moment, but things are looking good with that particular project because nothing's being built. We're simply adding more revetment to the area and reconfiguring it and packing it in a much more strategic way. The DNR is looking at it as maintenance instead. In terms of other updates through here, other updates that have changed since this is we now have a delivery date is not specifically scheduled yet, but for the mobile stage, a year and a half later, we're looking at getting that in the next couple of weeks. So we signed their certificate of origin. They are working with purchasing now and getting us a firm date, but next month, just in time for event season. So hope to see you guys out there to enjoy the new stage. Other updates for you come in the form of staffing. So what I initially submitted was that we had a need for 8 lifeguards and 6 park maintenance, which is typical for this time of year. We're actually performing better than we expected at this point. So we, at this moment, only need 4 lifeguards and 4 park maintenance across both east and west end park systems. Fee collectors remain the same. So at this point, trending compared to how we did last year, our superintendent, Jordan Myers, is doing much better. He's gotten a lot more at this time of year than we normally would have. Last year, we cited some issues as well with lifeguards actually passing the lifeguard certification. The Red Cross had changed their standards in 2025. So we are looking for more lifeguards this year, anticipating that some may not make the cut. We are trying to partner now with the Recplex. We haven't signed anything yet, but things are looking good that they will be able to offer their training classes to our lifeguards, which would leave available classes. Currently, right now, there's only 2 that you can take. This would open it up to as many as 7 that these lifeguards can take. So not only are we bringing more lifeguards on, we're giving them more opportunities to take the class and get certified. So things are going really well when it comes to staffing. Just wanted to make that update. Those numbers are no longer accurate. That's all I have.
Questions? Go ahead, Supervisor Belsky.
Chapel.
Yeah.
So the target completion, you can only take a month.
The estimates that we're getting from the contractors as well as the designers is that the work itself won't take all that long. The most work or the most time that will be spent on it really is mobilizing and getting the scaffolding put up in there. Once they're in there, the plaster work is estimated to take no more than a couple of days, as well as the floors and the paint. So
Yeah.
when Beth was still at Kemper, I did get the schedule from her and Katrina. They sent it.
Been updated.
Yeah. I gave them the time window. So they gave me I believe it was the 3rd week of May was the first wedding of the season, which is why we have a hard stop in there for that day. We gave that, it's in the bid that you can't work longer than the 2nd week of May because of what they gave us. Now, I can't speak to what Katrina's been doing since that conversation, but they said they would hold any weddings during that time. Yeah.
And
Mm.
since it looks like we're going with Red Barn, it may be of interest to understand where all their staging areas are gonna be, because I know that there are weddings and outdoor activities that are staged where some of that might run into, like, especially if we take the soccer field, or we go behind Faulkner, or we have to go behind Anderson because of the tightness. That's normally where they put up tents. So we'll have to figure that out too, because we're already working into early 2027.
Okay, yeah, when we get to the site access part of the plans, we'll collaborate with Kemper to make sure that it fits. At the moment, we're looking at just needing the soccer field. Because a lot of what's there, the red granite can be salvaged and reused. It won't need to necessarily come out. It'll be a staging area for their equipment and then the new red granite that's getting trucked in.
But they may need to move, unless they're coming on a barge, to move the granite from the water, or are they gonna move it from?
It's all being trucked in. There's no barge work.
Okay, so that means they may have to go behind Anderson, so we just have to expect for those kinds of things,
Yeah, of course.
so.
Yeah, we'll make sure to collaborate.
Maybe I missed this in a meeting, but did the RFP for the beer garden go out? And
Oh,
was
yes.
it approved?
So the beer garden is still open for right now. It's open for bid.
Okay.
So there was a proposal. It was sent out to, I can't remember when it was sent out, but it was around the same time as the chapel repairs here. In fact, those bids should be due, if not late this week, early next week.
It raised the prices, correct? The percentage that the county would be getting?
Oh, it's the same as the current.
Same 15?
Yep.
how come we decided not to raise that to 20? Or are we asking them to do their own garbage?
Well, they currently do their own garbage, but that is competitive with what other beer gardens are doing in the area. I was at a conference in February and I had the chance to talk to the folks who run the Milwaukee County Parks Beer Gardens. We actually get a higher percentage than what they get. They get closer to 12.5%.
But you're doing all of the movies out there. Like adding additional parking. We're doing a lot for that beer garden. So I would like to see that.
Yeah, you can see the RFP.
And then the mobile stage, I think we did reserve it for August 22nd.
But we have you down for that.
And let's see. I think that's all I have. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from committee members? In regards to the area compensating model for bridal use, are we getting the impression that the contractor will be doing sole source, or are they going to subsidize part of this renovation out? What's your impression?
We're looking for a general contractor. So it's expected that there will be one, if not several subcontractors reporting to a general contractor.
It's still within that time frame.
Correct. So we've been very forthcoming with that date to everybody at the pre-bid conference. We made that very clear. We also put it in the bid documents as well. So everyone who we brought in, we've done 3 personal walks through to make sure that they are getting unit pricing correct for everything. And we've taken every opportunity to reiterate that date.
So if you would, just correspond with me by email or some other preferences. With the awards and you come to a conclusion, just between the loops, I'll be surprised at that.
Will do.
In terms of the shoreline maintenance, when do we find out from GNR? What is your impression, maintenance versus restoration? Is there a timeline you only think of?
We don't have a timeline on when we will know for sure. Our engineer is fairly certain that he knows right now that that's the case, but I want to make sure that it's in writing before running to the presses and releasing that information. But he has done dozens of these projects for not just Kenosha itself. He's done city of Kenosha work. He's also done Milwaukee County Parks. He's done this. This has been the majority of his life's work. He feels very confident that the person he's working with at the DNR is correct in what they're saying.
Oh, so you're saying this falls into a pattern now?
Right.
Of previous experience that he's had with DNR, and this could fit the template of what's set. Great.
We also heard it from our DNR rep for this project.
Okay.
I just haven't received it in writing.
So it's not formalized, but it's leaning in that direction. Good. So
Correct.
that's a positive. When the mobile stage comes, where's it going to reside? Who's going to be out there?
It's going to reside at Petrifying Springs at the shop over in that area.
Most of these other things that's in the. Anything further for our director of parks? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation. We'll speak to Chad again soon.
Thank you very much.
Let's move on to item number F and facilities division special projects, Mr. Frank Martin. Highway. Yes, that's good. Highway. I'm sorry. Highway, Greg, you're up.
All right.
You can skip it.
The first item on the highways is a resolution to accept $138,432 from Wisconsin Electric Power Company / We Energy. It's the Paris Solar Farm project. There was an MOU signed between the Paris Solar Farm developers and Kenosha County back in 2021, in which it stated that the Paris Solar Farm would do some pre and post studies looking at road use, and that a amount would be reimbursed by Paris Solar Farm to Kenosha County due to roadway use, roadway degradations. Went through a series of kind of negotiations, if you will, looking at the pre-study that was done before the project started, looking at post-study that was done after it was done, looking at different road conditions, and different formulas. I got to give credit to my engineering team. They received it on an afternoon with a meeting the next afternoon, so in less than 24 hours. They were able to come up, kind of defend or refute some of the assumptions made. Initially, they were offering us about $6,500. And then 24 hours before it, they came back with about $30,000. And again, because of the staff looking at that, we came with the number of $138,430. So, yeah, gotta give my staff a lot of credit on it. They kind of looked at it pretty in depth and then provided some differing assumptions, and it's been agreed upon by Paris Solar at this point. Is that MMO? So up to before we can accept any money, it's given to Coach County. So I guess that's our resolution.
Questions on accepting this $138,000 in change? Supervisor Gray.
I'm just curious, so who came up with the original $6,000?
The company that did the roadway post-study and pre-study, now, how they came up with it, we didn't agree with at all.
Working for the energy company, right?
So we got hired by the and then the energy company knew that that was almost embarrassing to us. But then they came up with something different, and we're like, okay, well, that makes sense. So we use some of the stuff, the data in the engineering report. We agreed with some of it. We agreed with some of the theory that the Paris Solar Farm came in later, and then kind of combined it all and refuted some, agreed with some, and then made some different assumptions versus what they did. And that's where it got kind of complicated dealing with PCI, which is a road rating system, and how many years of where were we expected versus what we got, and then what kind of percentage that cost versus how much would it cost to bill and overlay that.
So what if you didn't agree with, what if you couldn't agree with that reimbursement amount? What would happen then?
At some point, we would have to come to an agreement. I mean, obviously, again, this is all up to you guys to approve, right? I mean, we agreed in terms to this amount. Obviously, there's an MOU that states that. I would say,
Yeah, but if they said, forget it, we're gonna walk away, I mean.
yeah, there is an MOU that states that.
Deal or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, we'd have to go back to the MOU and start getting the corporate counsel more involved. Now, I will say there's an agreement that is attached to it that we sign, that we say we only are agreeing to the road use, agreeing to the road use portion of that MOU. Corporate counsel worked with me on that agreement very closely to make sure that it was only the road use that we're agreeing to here, and that MOU has several other items listed in it that they have to agree to. So, none of that is on this, right? This is just the road use, one section. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we would have to get into had we not been able to agree, or you don't agree, then it gets into a corporate counsel issue that I guess we're figuring that out.
Well, let's hope it doesn't go. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's going there, so we're all good.
But they've agreed to it. Obviously, it would be up to the Conoco County Board, you folks, the finance committee, and then the Conoco County Board.
So to avoid litigation is probably the other way to go, because then third parties wind up with some of the money and.
Right.
Avoid that.
Yeah.
Further questions or comments about this particular item? Motion has been approved. I do have a question before let's do a second. Second, Supervisor Meadows, so Belsky Meadows. Motion is second. We know, are there approximately equal partners in this contribution to Wisconsin Electric Power and Paris Solar Energy? It's a prorated, how do you go?
Yeah, so it's brilliant. I mean, I would say that, because we looked at what the road was before, we agreed what the condition of the road was before, we agreed what the road condition was after. So in instance, we said, we expected you know, the years of, like, they were out there for 4 years. So the road rating said that they used the road as if it was there for 15 years, right? So we said, okay, that 11 years what you owe us, right? Based off if we had to resurface the whole thing, what is the percentage of 11 years out of a 25-year life cycle, right? That we get based off the percentage, based off the cost, you know, getting it. So we are still, you know, to resurface the roadway, we still would pay more, but we're getting this as a contribution to what they did, you know, expecting that the road would last 25 years. They took off an additional 11 years, right? So the 50%.
The energies and where solar is.
Yes.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's where I thought your question, was.
Okay.
They're the same, they're, Paris Solar started, but then we energy purchased it, so now we energy is responsible.
In this agreement, we had the Parasolar.
So really, we're negotiating with utility on this particular item. So
It's a weird arrangement right now, but it's the Parasolar and We Energies are working together, right?
So if I understand correctly, Parasolar is its own entity, but it's owned now by,
I believe they sold them.
They sold it to the energy.
But I believe Parasolar still needs to make good on this MOU on behalf of the energy.
so this 138,000 and change, where does this wind up? Where does it reside? Does it stay within our department? Is it a general fund?
So it'll go back into, capital improvement under roadway improvements under the.
So theoretically, this could reduce future levies if we have this amount of income coming in.
And not so much levy, it would be the amount of bonding. If I say that wrong, Chris.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it'll increase the amount of bonding, not the levy.
So it could possibly decrease the value.
Right. I mean, now take for granted, there's several other miles of road and at what point this becomes, you know, part of that priority. But yeah, through the budget process, we always see what we kind of have in the bank and then determine what we need to bond in the future year.
Well, good. Thank you for sticking up for us and getting more money from you. Thank you to you. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Seeing none, passes. You can go. Aye. Thank you for the resolution.
Division report, I'll just kind of go through it, give it some highlights. Jurisdictional transfer of contract highway K of 60th Street from 60th Avenue to the Union Pacific Railroad. That's really kind of a roadway just east of Green Bay Road, past Green Bay Road, past Indian Trail High School to the first railroad tracks. That was in an MOU signed many years ago, but never actually approved through the DOT. So that was done this past month, so that roadway now is officially the city of Middleton, and now, as you know, or you may know, eventually County Truck Highway K, 60th Street, all the way to 128th Avenue, which is west of the interstate, will become, there's an MOU signed between the city and the county, will become under city of Kenosha jurisdiction based off, roadway improvements that are needed. So it's 2035. In 2035. Again, this is a piece of it. Let's get the kind of city of Kenosha, then we'll have it to the railroad.
So that means no plowing, no maintenance, no anything.
Well, I mean,
That's right.
correct. Now, typically snow plowing with some of that stuff right now, we typically do some trading with the city. They do some for us, we do some for them. We'll probably keep the way it is now. I know the city has plans to expand 120th Avenue to a much wider cross section. Once that happens, that's where that trade may get up and eligible section. So anyways, just want to let you know that that did happen. Outside of that, a week ago, we had a first blizzard warning since February of 2011. And then on Friday, we had 60-degree temperatures, so welcome to Wisconsin. Obviously, Coos did an amazing job, just difficult events, to keep up with the blowing snow. When, obviously, without doing the snow plowing, we're doing some crack sealing, guardrail repair, and then obviously it's the season for potholes. So we are filling potholes. We do throughout the winter, we kind of ramp it up a little bit. The springtime. Equipment wise, we did get a stake body truck that was part of the 2025 equipment. Stake body truck was delivered and we're doing some in-house outfitting prior to putting it on the streets. For 2026 equipment, we have ordered a tractor, and we expect that to be delivered in the fourth quarter. Project wise, the big project obviously we will have as far as kind of reconstruction wise is County Truck Highway W from the Illinois state line to County Truck Highway C. Bids have been open. There's a pre-construction meeting scheduled for this coming Thursday, the 26th, with the DOT. So we will be attending that. And then staffing wise, this period, we've had 4 new hires in the patrol ranks, 1 new mechanic, and the fleet mechanic inventory specialist was filled. With no resignations or separations, that leaves us currently a South Highway Superintendent, in which we are currently through that recruitment process. And then we are down 1 highway patroller. So that is our staffing over the last 3 months or so. We've got but a lot of things.
So substantial improvement in the labor for highways.
Yep.
Good to hear. Highway superintendent, is that most likely being filled internally?
We're working through that recruitment thing.
Questions for Director of Highways?
The 2 years I've been on the board, we've saved a lot of money from year's budget because of the lack of needing salt for the 2 previous winter, not this winter compared to the last 2. Did we use more this year?
Yes, so we used a substantial amount more this year. We did get a delivery this year, so budget wise, there's been some carryover every year that we should be able to be okay with it, but yes, we did use a lot more salt this year.
That's what I was curious about. Thank you.
Speaking of salt, I've heard, the state sources and so forth, the big talk is less rock salt and more brine. Is that still the trend, or is that not happening as fast, or what's going on?
I would say there are some counties that are very strong in the brine, some are not. We are not one that creates their own brine. We don't use brine much, if at all. Something we're looking into, I would say some counties that were really heavy into it before have pulled back a little bit, trying to figure out when it's effective and when it's not. I think it's a great tool in the toolbox to have. So looking into having that when we start looking at constructing a new salt shed, having that capacity to make our own brine. But trying to make sure we're using it in the right timing.
But in terms of being mandated by some government agency to do so, are you seeing that coming as a?
I've not heard anything on actual mandate yet that obviously environmentally, they have to see what brine and straight calcium chloride that we use.
So it's a trend in some areas of the country to spray actually salt water as a brine, as opposed to just tossing out black salt. It sounds good, but it's a more costly and difficult thing to do, especially infrastructure, if there are tanks, mixing facilities and so forth. So it's always good to see which way the political winds are blowing at us, and if we would have to do it voluntarily or if it's a mandate. So keep us apprised of the brine question as we go along. For County W, Illinois state line to County C, that's going to have the meeting 26th at DOT.
Yeah, so this will be the bids have been opened. So we'll have a pre-construction meeting Thursday. And then there'll be a public informational meeting that the DOT will get coordinated. I do have the date time for that.
So the bids have been opened.
Yeah.
Has it been awarded?
I believe it has been, yeah. They would have a pre-construction meeting without.
And that is for construction, which construction season?
This one. So, yeah, we expect they'll probably start sometime in April.
And if you have look into your looking glass and say when it be proven most likely, all things being equal,
At, middle to end of November.
so a regular full
Structural
construction.
construction. There may be a break in there. Well, there is a scheduled break in there when they can work because of the county fair.
Okay.
So that roadway is open during the county fair week. What that may do is they may finish one part, one phase. They may have to wait till after the county fair to start the next phase, and there could be a break there. But that's something they have to deal with, is trying to get accommodated to the fair.
So that's talking just about the fair.
Yeah,
In general, complete closure or one travel lane open during regular construction.
so, during the first phase, we are cutting a vertical hill by about 15 feet, which is right next to the Wilmot Mountain area.
Okay.
So the road cut of 15 feet. During that process, the entire roadway will be closed.
And that would be expected to last,
6 weeks.
so the entire stretch or just the hill cut area?
Just the hill cut, I mean, yeah, just the hill cut area. So, if you, County Trunk Highway CK, which is down by the old, I'll call it the old American Girl facility, that'll be the detour route, and then they'll be able to come in off of Highway C West, which is that southern County C portion in Wilmot. So they'll have to go down there, but yeah, that'll be closed to all through
For
traffic
the hill cut.
for the hill cut.
Then after that, it will still be well traveling each direction for.
One lane each direction with flaggers. I mean, it's gonna be difficult. I'm not gonna tell you that it's gonna be this close to
You're talking about some meeting. And then you're thinking that for the fair, they just may lay off and have both lanes open during
the contract requires no work to happen for the entire week of the fair, and then the roads need to be open.
very well. That answers my questions on Guilty. Any other items for our director of finance? Seeing none, thank you for the report. And now it's Mr. Montgomery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few updates. We do have punch list items for KCDC, KCC, and KCC backup generator. We do not let the contractors off the hook, and we pull the final. But they get everything done. Cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and get all of the warranty, maintenance manuals, and things like that. So, even with holding that back, sometimes, they're a little pokey, but we keep picking up, but we will not let. Eventually, their accounting department says, hey, we need this money. So, ceremonial courtroom, things are overall going well. The plaster, the ornamental plaster up on the ceiling, they took mold of that, made silicone molds, went back to their shop in Chicago, cast the plaster pieces. When they brought them back, they were close, but they weren't quite right. There was some distortion in them, and we actually brought the owner up to look at it, and they agreed, so they went back, made new millers. We lost a little bit of time, but we should be okay, but it's once in 100 years, you gotta do it. They're actually now, all that's complete. The ornamental plaster's complete. They're working on the back room, judge and the conference room there. But the ornamental getting up in the ceiling area, that is going full blast, and pretty amazing to watch these guys work. And the gold leaf, the linking cord they're almost a foot tall, and they're gold leafing that, and it's like a couple microns thick. You can blow it and it keep going. So it's amazing to watch those guys. And also some of the details around, they just have, just half an inch by about
an inch of gold leaf on them just to highlight, so it's amazing to watch them work, but that's going well. The PSP underground gasoline things, the police and sheriff love it. There's more hoses, well lit. We're looking at the concrete where they saw cut it. We've got some degradation along the saw cut, so we got all the information of the temperatures when they were poured, the dates, the conditions. Shelley reached out to some experts she had, so we're gathering information on that. We just want to make sure it's going to be okay. So we're digging into that. PSP, HVAC, air handling unit replacement, that's going well with GMH heating. Pre-Charles HVAC improvements phase 1. The bids were released on March 11th, and the bids are due back on that April 22nd. That's it.
22nd, the bids are due.
April 22nd.
Questions, comments from Mr. Martin? So which one are you still working through, Frank, on the punch list? Is it the first item, sir?
Yeah, KCDC HVAC replacements and KCDC backup generator ground replacements.
So the DC at Southport, that was basically cleaning social science and so KCC.
It's all working, well, yeah, it's with the KCDC, there's some error messages, so we still working through. Bottom line is we don't let it go.
That's for the tank to shut with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other questions, comments, or this one? Then not, thank you for your report. How are we going? Is it?
Yes, so my first one's a communication on the use of the Monsanto funds. Under the state trunk, or sorry, county trunk highway as project, we were purchasing property. We're gonna call it parcel 11, which is on the corner of S and N or 38th Street. With that construction, they uncovered an underground storage tank. With that, they did some environmental investigation. We were hoping that we could submit a no activity, no for closure. The DNR came back and wants us to do an NR 716 site investigation, which requires us to do some borings for groundwater and soil samples. So part of that is, and to do that, to complete the requirements that they're putting on us, we would need around $23,000 for our environmental firm to go out and drill the holes and do the sampling. So part of the Monsanto would cover this, that it, as you know, is part of the settlement dollars that the county received. So we wanted to communicate that to you per the resolution. It was required to go to finance, but we thought we would bring it.
No, thank you for bringing it to our attention. Questions on this particular item, Supervisor Belsky?
Thank you. I'm glad to hear. So just to clarify, this is more of a notification than a request to us. It's because it was already approved in a resolution. And then as you and I discussed, if it goes over the 23,000, we have the opportunity to go for other grants and money to cover the additional expense, because you never know what they're gonna find.
Right, if it
Correct.
moves into a remediation action, which we're required to do some sort of cleanup, yes, there are funds available.
And I want to thank you for the great job that was being done over in my neighborhood by Corio with all the contamination and everything.
We're chipping away at that.
Yeah, so thank you.
Is that where the homeowners who sent notices and so forth?
Yes, so we are doing the vapor investigation currently, but that is called, it's got several names. It's 17th Court. It's also known as the Orange Hood site.
That's
Also known as Corio Park. So there's quite a few names that go along with that environment. But we were approved for Monsanto to do that work, so we're completing.
How much do we have in that Monsanto fund?
So right now, with the stuff that we have allocated and under contract for, we still have approximately 560,000
That has, what type of strings attached to it?
There were several, but there were more for environmental issues. I know it was under a resolution 123. So it talks about all the class action lawsuit, but more for environmental concerns such as.
Remediation discovery method. Questions on this, Monsanto funds and are taking a look at the area, highway estimate. Highway. Okay, carry on.
Moving on to human services, March, update. We are moving on the inside. As you can tell, there's outside staying kind of stagnant throughout the winter. Our hope is to have what we call the terracotta panels up, in the next month or so. That will give it that nice warm hue from the external side. Our holdup right now is our door system, our external doors and internal doors, with a 16-week lead time. So we're hoping we can get those delivered in shifts and not just all at once. But like I had mentioned on here, bathrooms are starting to take shape. Ceiling tiles are being installed on the second floor. Most of the painting has been done in the second floor and most of the first floor, minus what we're gonna call the lab area. We're still waiting on kind of finalizing some of the millwork in there. As you can see, we're still on schedule for that July turnover. Right now, we're still working through the transition, which we're thinking may take us through October to get everybody and everything from old building into the new building. So we're starting to kind of organize that in shifts by our movers and facilities and installation and some of our subcontractors that will be coming in after we get occupancy. And then I also updated the financials for February, which also we have.
It's on HS Human Services Supervisor Nelson.
Are we still, when weather allows, are we still making that whole entrance have a better appearance and flow so it doesn't look like a grocery store parking lot? I know we had originally talked about it, the entry.
Are you meaning the parking lot? The parking lot is 100% Bear property, so we don't have any jurisdiction. We will have a sign that's going.
Promises though.
There is a sign that will be on their sign on 52nd Street. There is landscaping that they haven't done yet, so there is things that are happening in the spring that will happen to the parking lot, but most of all, the entrances stay the way entrances currently, all the concrete work there has been done. There will be a sign on Human Services building that they're finishing up with touches to that. So there will be external things that makes it more noticeable. But as far as the parking lot, other than landscaping, that's pretty well taken.
Okay, because that wasn't part of the original discussion, as I recall. They're gonna, and I know Mr. O'Keefe is running county board, so I don't want to say anything about his business, but it was supposed to have a more aesthetic, pleasing view of only use of that. So I could just be thinking it up in my head, but I do recall something on that sign.
Well, do we have a rendering of what the parking lot is supposed to look like?
We have plans that show the parking lot, and there is a rendering of the building that kind of shows the parking lot, but not from the 52nd Street. I don't believe as far as the parking lot.
Is there an aerial over and over?
Yes.
You want that to be passed along? Please?
There.
So the big thing on the exterior, besides the doors, are the siding and the painting, correct?
Yes.
So when you say terracotta panels, are these precast type thing or what type
It
of?
kind of looks like siding. It's gonna go on like a siding. So all of it, that's just the wrap right now.
Yeah.
Is gonna be that orange colored hue.
So in terms of siding, is it one of those,
Rain shield.
is it a cement type product or is it a?
I can send it to you. It's not, no, it's kind of like a rain shield, so it attaches to the building, but it's 100% cleanable, washable, I don't know, drinks on.
Yeah, it looks like terracotta. It looks like a terracotta panel, but it's made of the, you know, modern materials that hold up a lot better and it gives it a finished look. Like it's like a terracotta, facing on the building. It gives it color, it gives it depth. But it's a modern aesthetic material.
Is it something that composite?
Yeah.
And the others, like drive it or different,
Pardon me?
like drive it or different, drive this plow line,
No. These are actual.
it's free.
Yeah.
So, and then the color is embedded into it or gets painted after?
No, it's a
Oh, in terms of the turnover, you're gonna begin in July, might go through October. Am I assuming that a lot of this is going to happen on weekends?
No.
It's exactly during the week.
Yep, we're gonna have movers that move the individuals, they're doing them in shifts, so there will be some staff that might be on remote schedule for a week or so, but we're doing them in shifts, so they will be all day, every day. We're trying to program it in a way that we're not impacting visitors that come to certain zones. So we're trying to schedule around the break and further down the list, the more visitors. But we're trying to get the second floor looped in first.
So starting from the top down, so. Further questions or comments about this specifically or anything else for Ms. Billingsley regarding to? Seeing none, thank you for your report. And with no more business, I will move to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Thank you for your attention.